the millennials who are doing the best they can without real grandma.
There's so much I could say about that video, but go and watch it for its full context because it was a pretty interesting take. Not specifically toward this young lady, but the attitude in general of millennials. It's the audacity for me. It's the audacity for me. Yeah, but I realize it's based on her as well as other young people's myopic view based on where they are in their lives compared to what everybody else is doing in their life. It's based on their experiences and what they see. And I was no different. But what is different is not even the expectation, but the sense of entitlement that young parents have because y'all didn't ask us to have the kids. So why are you going to put the expectation on us to watch them? Now listen, I love being a grandmother. I do. I absolutely do. You know, I had my 3 bonus grandchildren before my daughter had her baby. I love being a grandmother. I love making stuff for my grandkids. But guess what? Gigi's tired. A lot of Gigi's are tired. And the difference with back then being at Big Mama's house or at the auntie's house, a lot of times they didn't ask to go. They would just drop them off and left. So it was a situation that Big Mama had no choice because the mothers didn't ask, just drop them off. Whereas that now you better because we set boundaries. You know, just like y'all want to have boundaries when y'all tell us what to do. Hello. And shout out to According to Iris because you are absolutely right. My mom's generation, my mother was the youngest, but my aunt who lives with us now talks about how she was responsible for her 2 younger siblings. You know, cooking, all that kind of stuff. And me, y'all know my mom had me young. I'm the oldest of 2. I was cooking full meals at 7. We had to have the house clean before my mom got home. Clothes ironed, ready, whatever. We had senses of responsibility at such a young age. By the time we got to college, we didn't want no more. Another thing that is related to the myopic view, y'all don't take in consideration how tired grandmothers are. Sometimes we can have the best intention and the desire to help. But when we try to do it, our bodies will tell, our minds, our strength will tell us, you can't do it. Well, what do you mean by that, TJ? I'm glad you asked. I had my daughter at 27. I moved back to Oklahoma from California when just before my baby turned 1. I was in graduate school, working 2 jobs. I wanted to go into ROTC, and I knew in order to sign the contract, there was a larger commitment that was going to be required. But because I was a single mother, I needed to have a parenting plan, basically the contingency. So before I even signed the contract with ROTC, I asked my mom, I said, Mommy, I'm not going to be able to do this if you're not going to help me with Danielle, because this is what I got to do PT, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I asked her repeatedly before I signed the contract, Mommy, are you sure you're going to be able to help me with Danielle? Yes, I'm going to help you with Danielle. I think I mentioned my mom was in her late 40s when I had my daughter. So it starts off great, dropping my daughter off on my way to school. For the first couple of weeks, no problem. One day I get ready to drop her off. I go to my mom's house. She said, I don't feel like it today. I said, but Mommy, I got to go to school. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I don't feel like it today. I had to pack my daughter up and take her to school with me. And fortunately, the junior cadets watched my baby in the cadet lounge. Shout out to Sooner Battalion while I went to class. And then some of the classes I had to take with her. I couldn't understand. I was livid because we had the conversation. She committed before I even signed the contract. Okay, there you go. I told my daughter the story several times before they got pregnant. Several times. When she got pregnant, I was excited. It was before I knew that I was going to retire, but because I was thinking I was going to retire, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be able to watch her every day or at least 3-4 times a week, blah, blah, blah. You know, I want to do it. That's my G baby, my first G baby from my only child. I was in my 50s. I'm 56. My baby's 2. So 54, 54, 53, 54. several years older than my mother. Danielle would bring the baby over. It started out okay. But I'm going to tell you, after that first full day of watching my granddaughter, I slept for almost 16 hours. So as it became clear to me, with each day, I was exhausted. I was exhausted. And my husband was like, TJ, you can't do this. And I felt bad. And I reduced it to 3 days a week. And then that still was too much. And she was very upset with me. Not unlike I was upset with my mom. But I told her in advance. Because again, and I told her what I thought. I think my mom had every intention on helping me. Just like I had every intention on helping her more. But when you actually got into the throes of it, you don't have the same capacity. You don't have the same energy as you do in your 20s. You're tired. And y'all can sit there and say what you think, just like I could sit there back then and say, well, I don't understand this because I hadn't lived that long enough to understand. My mother was just tired. And the energy that it takes for a small child, children, period, you got to be on top of your game. And like Iris said, many of those that were dropped off at their grandmother's house, they had full-time jobs, working full-time, coming home, a lot of times falling asleep in their chairs. While the kids are out doing what they, do, getting into trouble, which is what kids do, but also doing what they weren't supposed to do and having things happen to them that shouldn't happen because grandma was tired, wasn't paying attention a lot of times. What else? Something else is different in as much as the Gen X may not be physically taking care of grandkids. A lot of us are financially taking care of y'all's kids, or at least helping. Whereas in my generation, my mom couldn't help me at all. That's one of the reasons why I went into the military, so I could make sure I could provide for my daughter, because my mom wasn't in a position to help me. So like Iris said, each generation was doing the best they can with what they knew and what they had. And again, because we babied y'all with no sense of accountability, no sense of boundary, no sense of respect, no sense of deference, but every sense of entitlement, I'm interested to see how y'all kids gonna turn out and what they're gonna say about y'all. And she's absolutely right about, because we puffed your heads up about y'all could do anything, y'all could be everything. When somebody gives you constructive criticism, you can't even handle it. My mother wrote to me in a letter many years ago, actually it was before I had my daughter, that she purposely didn't tell me how pretty I was or how smart I was, because I'd always been told that I was a pretty baby and I was this, and she didn't want that to go to my head. So guess what? I was always trying to prove myself. Now there has to be a delicate balance. There has to be a delicate balance. We need to show our kids, yes, you are this, but you're not perfect. And this is why you're not perfect. How to handle constructive redirection from your parents so you can darn sure handle it from people who ain't. Because I see it all the time in the workplace. It's always everybody else's fault. Take no responsibility for anything. It's always an excuse. So yeah, I can understand why there's some frustration, but yeah, we're tired. Because some of us raised ourselves, we raised our kids, and some of us raised our siblings and had too much responsibility at early ages. So take that with you.